Welcome to the 423rd edition of the Holy Backboard Podcast. I am Dustin here in Rip City, and I got my man
Sage kicking it live and direct from Beaverton, Oregon. There's some stuff I definitely want to talk about with the Blazers. Some very interesting things that I have yet to ever see from the Portland Trailblazers. What's the first thing you noticed about the Blazers this last week?
Yeah, I'm going to recap what the week that was right quick. Then we will jump in. Obviously, the big victory, the 22-point comeback, the second largest comeback in NBA season, the early season. 121-119, giving the Oklahoma City Thunder their only loss of the season. And then Portland headed out for that 5-game road trip, as we detailed last week, dropping two heartbreakers to the Miami Heat and Orlando Magic. First, Saturday in Miami, 131-136. And then Desmond Bane hits a shot with 1.9 seconds left on the clock. Really, it was a crazy night in the NBA, a lot of buzzer beaters. We just happened to be on the bad end of this one, but Portland dropped it 115-112, dropping the Blazers to 5-5 on the young season, currently 9th in the Western Conference. And as I was kind of thinking about this episode and this podcast, I was trying to put myself in preseason mode. You would have told me Blake Wesley is impactful, Matisse Thybulle was impactful, but they're both out for extended periods of time. You're still without Scoot Henderson, and you're not able to play Jan Hansen. That's a lot of bodies that you don't have access to or are not able to get production from. You see the schedule, and you're 5-5. Preseason Dustin is like, yes, absolutely sign me up. I just wanted to be 500 through the first 20. Then hopefully we start to get Scoot Henderson back, and then we can start picking it up and rolling. But as I look back,
expectations are a bad thing, my guy.
As I look back, this always happens. The schedule really isn't that difficult. Would you believe me if I told you the last 5 opponents that Portland has played have been on the second night of a back-to-back? That is a schedule advantage that we traditionally do not see way up here on the upper left coast. And unfortunately, the Blazers are 2-3 in those contests. You've also played the Lakers twice, both without LeBron James, once without Luka and Austin Reeves as well. You play the Miami Heat without their two best players, Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo. You get the Orlando Magic without their starting point guard, Jalen Suggs. You've lost a game that really looks bad now. The Clippers are struggling, and you got him.
Bale broke his hip, too.
In Los Angeles, you gave away a game against the Timberwolves that you should have had on opening night. But then you have great victories against the Nuggets, against the Warriors, and against the Thunder. So I think if I'm looking at it realistically and objectively, it's balancing out. I think this is about a 500 basketball team. We'll get into why. But with that being said, they're leaving a lot of meat on the bone. And when you go into April and you start to jockey for positioning, whether you want a first round bye, whether you just want to make the play-in, you're going to be looking back at these early November and October games and saying, damn, why did we let these slip through our fingers? So we will get into that. But the best thing that I saw this week, my guy, Shaedon Sharpe, I think he finally looks healthy. He has not been listed on the injury report.
Yes, he has. He's probable. Every
Trailblazers PR has not been listing him.
If you're looking for injury news, you got to go to Underdog or.
But I go to the official, because I don't know because the Underdog should be pulling from the official, because the Blazers can get fined if they don't list it correctly. So I'm going through there, and he's not on the injury report. He hasn't been on the injury report. It looks like the last time he was probable was in Miami. He was off the injury report for Orlando, and he was off the injury report for tonight against the Pelicans. And I think it has shown his mode. He looks more aggressive. I think he's finally stopped settling for the 3-point shot.
Really fast 3-point shots, too.
If he gets his feet set and it's off a kick out or, just even in transition, that's fine. But when he tries to do the Dame dribble, step back, and that's
Mhm.
not in his bag. It may never be. It's an
It's
extremely difficult.
That's just really difficult, man.
Dame makes a lot of things difficult look easy, and
I mean, Drew Holiday was an all-star point guard in the league and you don't want him to do that here.
there's not many people that can do it. I've loved how Shaedon has been aggressive. And I notice when they give him the opportunity to be aggressive, they give him playmaking opportunities, and he goes to the rack. He's averaging 6 free throw attempts in November, converting on 73% of the time. So he needs to convert much higher at the foul line. But I've noticed with Shaedon, it's his offense and his mentality that dictates the rest of his game, because he's much more locked in on defense. He is much more aggressive on the glass. He's averaging 6 rebounds per game in November. Again, 4-game sample size. The season's a 10-game sample size. Bear with me. But he's averaging 23 points, shooting 51% from the field, which is great because those numbers were atrocious to start the year. And he's doing it in just 27 minutes. You're telling me you're getting 23 points of production on 51% from the field in just over half the game? That's beautiful to see. I think Tiago Splitter is doing a good job of not overwhelming him with a huge minutes load, given that he has recently been on the injury report. We saw exactly Chauncey Billups do the opposite last year or the year before, and he continued to get those. I think it was 2 years ago. He had those growing strains in his core, and he was done for the year because Chauncey was playing him 40 plus minutes a night when he was coming back from injury. And I think he's just a smarter coach.
You talk about the rebounding and a lot of his defensive rebounding. And
Which
you
the
know what
Blazers
happens when
need desperately.
defensive rebounds? They don't pass it to Denny, they don't pass it to Tumani, they don't pass it to just Drew. Shaedon grabs the rebound and takes it up and usually shoots. That's why I was thinking about this in the Orlando game, because even though he had points and usage, there were times where he was just chilling in the corner far too much. And then he started rebounding the ball and just pushing pace, and he probably got 8. How many points did he score in that Orlando game?
Shaedon had 31 points.
He probably had 6 off of his own rebound pushing pace and then scoring.
Because Bird made a good point about that too. I think it was in that comeback. It was with 2 minutes or something to go, and coach told him, just go, get it and go, and he got to the foul line. And you're absolutely right that he was calling his own number. He was, I'm not just going to sit around in the corner. I'm going to do it myself. And when I get downhill, I have the athleticism. And
he should probably get 6 points a game just from rebounding and pushing pace himself. And
absolutely.
Let's be real about our playmakers. Denny doesn't really care about other people when he's driving. And Drew Holiday, as you saw in late game Orlando, sometimes it just shows that he's not a true point guard, because I think we would have won that game if we didn't throw so many scary passes and dribble it around Jonathan Isaac, who's one of the best defenders in the NBA. We're starting to see, we had 9 games of Drew Holiday being a point guard. That Orlando game kind of showed, this is the Drew Holiday I remember. When it gets cramped offensively, it gets tough. So I think Shaedon should really focus on getting rebounds, because there were times when he wasn't getting 2 a game. He was really, really trying to push. He was trying to go on the opposite side offensively. But when you're on the Portland Trailblazers, if you don't get the rebound, it's going to Denny, most likely. So he has to really focus on getting those boards and pushing pace himself, because I think Denny and the rest of the dudes on that team want Denny to have the ball in these clutch or in any situation. Even when it's Drew or Shaedon haven't touched it that much, Denny's going to have it. So I think pushing pace and rebounding it and being aggressive when you have the ball is really clutch for Shaedon Sharpe. The thing that I was really, really happy about, have you heard of the Gortat screen?
Yep.
So basically what the center does is they set a screen on the ball handler and then rotate down and then box out their guy, which is a moving screen, but you make it look like you're trying to get position for the rebound. And we did it once, and I've never seen Donovan Clingan do that action ever. We didn't score off of it, but it was really awesome to see that we would try something to generate space for one of our drivers. And if Donovan Clingan can do that more often, I think that gives us a lot more space in the basket, one, because the center's sealed off, but all of our guys thrive off of 2 feet in paint. If we can utilize the Gortat screen more, I think that it would make the spacing better on the court, because every moment that Donovan's in, he really isn't a threat from 3 yet. So if he can just Gortat screen people and generate space and a wide open lane to the basket, couldn't Denny would get so many more points. Shaedon would get so many more points. Drew Holiday would get so many more points because the guy screened already. So it's an easy lane to the basket. And yeah, I saw it once and I was just so happy to see a very smart and very great way of generating space off of a Gortat screen.
Yeah, I know Donovan's hands are still a work in progress, but
That body is ready for setting screens though all day.
they need to bring him up, set more screens, and they need to at least feed him a few times as a pick and roll player and get him to the foul line, let him finish. We had getting him in transition, right? Shaedon had a great rebound, pushed it up. Denny split the defense, threw it up, lobbed Donovan late game against the Magic. It was beautiful, bang, 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 basketball. But you're going to play Donovan. You need him for the offensive rebounding. You need him for the interior paint presence. You have to find a way to get him easy buckets. He's not going to generate offense, and I still don't love centers out there just bombing away threes.
Williams and Donovan Clingan do not belong out in the
no.
There's a reason they're wide open.
They do not need to be shooting threes. Hate it that the defense does not have to pay attention to them at all, and it further cramps the paint. I would like to see them throw a couple of lobs. I know he's not Derek Lively, but he is 7'2", 7'3". He can catch it up and just work with him. He's a second-year player. This season is still, yes, you're trying to make the playoffs, but you need to develop your players. And so hopefully when you're really trying to make that push, these guys have all of these reps underneath the belt. But
if he's not engaged offensively, the center doesn't need to defend him. Like and that's a huge thing because of how 2 feet in the paint centric we are. Yes, we shoot threes, but it's all based on paint touches. If the opposing center is just, okay, Donovan's just taking up space here, I can just help side defense and force Denny to take more difficult shots, or Drew Holiday or whoever is driving into the paint. It makes our offense so much worse if Donovan's not engaged. And engaging could just be setting screens and rotating to the rim. But when he's just chilling on an island at the top of the key, if he takes a shot, even if it goes in, that defensive matchup was won by the defense. It just happened to go in when usually it's going to miss.
I still want to see him utilized more as a short roll. Like he was drafted for
he's good at that.
He has passing.
I just don't know if our offense and our plays.
The offense is predicated on just sharing the basketball.
You actually have to set the screen and roll to have him in the short roll. I just think that Shaedon just rushes through and he's just too fast on pick and roll opportunities. Denny doesn't care because he's trying to turbo himself to the basket. I think to utilize him in the short roll, you have to be more patient offensively. And where we're at right now with our offense, we can't be patient because our guys just aren't used to doing it. When's the last time Drew Holiday was this involved in an offense? It was probably his all-star season or the years where the Pelicans had Tim Frazier as the point guard. It's been years and years and years. So I just don't know if our guards have enough reps to be patient enough to utilize him in short roll. I really am curious to see what happens with our offense and Donovan's usage when Scoot's healthy, because I think that we'll actually have somebody that's used to handling the ball on our team.
Yeah, I think Thiago needs to adjust as well. Like he's trying to implement his style from what it sounds like from his Paris basketball stint, and that's kind of based on spreading the floor and cutting and sharing the ball, which in theory works, but as you see in half-court basketball, that can be really easy to defend, especially with a non-3-point shooting team. And also, when you have guys on heaters, you need to have specific plays dialed up to get them easy open looks. What bummed me out, there was a few things this week, but the first one, we need to have an honest conversation about Toumani Camara. I know he is beloved by this fan base, but he has been a major disappointment this year to me. And I think it's his increased usage on offense is impacting his defensive energy, because Sage, Toumani put up 13 threes in that Miami game. Why is Toumani Camara shooting 13 3-point shots? He is already on pace to shoot 541 threes this year. He's averaging 6.6 threes per game. He's shooting it at 30% from the line. From his rookie year, do you want to know what the percentage jump is? He's increased his usage, but 214% the amount of threes from Toumani Camara. We're not talking about Ray Allen. We're talking about a 3-and-D player who should be shooting catch and shoot threes.
They talked about his added ball handling.
Not there.
It's not there. It never was. I think also blame the Portland Trailblazers media for hyping him up to ungodly. I think Toumani's good. Worry about him with the speed when he guards faster players.
But hold on, you say faster players? He's getting blown by everybody.
Paolo's getting a speed bump, bro.
How he waltzed by him for that game-tying layup.
And Paolo should be a positive matchup for him.
He owned Banchero last year. He absolutely made his highlight reel defending Paolo Banchero this year. I know they set a ghost screen or whatever action you want to call it, but Paolo put one foot
on the ground. Had 30 easy points against him, bro.
And we've seen every player on the spectrum cook Camara. Isolation settings.
I think that the media the Lamar and all those guys just promoted his defense to such a high heat that he literally has to be prime Drew Holiday to equal what they're saying. I think he's a good defender, but there's no way he's a great defender. I guess NBA media promoted him too, because I see King of the Fourth Quarter talk about him, and I'm like, guys, you need to watch the full context of the game. He hasn't been like that this entire year. The March and April basketball of last year really promoted the Denny and Toumani propaganda to just too high of a standard, because now people are expecting prime Gary Payton defensively. They're expecting Denny Avdija to be an all-star. You try not to listen to the Blazers propaganda when Lamar's talking about it, because it's just so far-fetched that in this Western Conference, Denny Avdija on a 500 team is going to make it all-star, but it's like a major segment, like 10 minutes dedicated to
now that they announced the format where they're taking 12 world players, he's probably going to make it, because there's not enough world players to fill out. Right. And that's just
now if we keep Denny, that all-star bid's going to make him more expensive.
Yeah. I don't want Toumani. He's shooting the ball 11 times. His percentage,
if it's open, I'm fine with 11 times. It's
just they're not open. But they're not open, and the percentage is dropping. He was shooting respectably 46, 45% his first 2 years. He's down to 40%. Now, I know there's still 72 games of basketball left, but I do not want Toumani Camara going down the court, getting a position, the ball gets past him, he's jab, I'm putting up this three. That is not his game. He needs to slash. He is an awesome slasher. He is a good finisher on the fast break. If he wants to sit in the corner and catch and shoot a three, beautiful. That is great action.
But we give him the ball too much.
Yep.
Let me look.
And I think it's impacting his defense, because
absolutely. Drew Holiday's his offense impacts his defense because he has the ball in his hands.
There was the fourth quarter of the Orlando game, and I was just, I don't know how we're going to get a stop. We cannot get stops on teams. We allowed the Miami Heat to put up 136 points on us. Sage, that game was really difficult to watch. That felt like an LA Fitness rec league game, because you had the quote unquote first and second fast-paced teams playing against each other. It's like they tried to out-track meet one another, and it was bad basketball. Lots of forced threes, lots of quick attempts. And I think playing at this breakneck speed,
It's not for us.
it's not for any team. Sage, you cannot have the energy to run up and down the court at a top 2 pace and then play defense. Defense takes so much out of you. I think they need to slow it down.
I'm looking at Tumani. If he touches that shit's going up. That's what his usage rate's small. If we're talking about how many threes did he take? 13, 16, whatever it is.
He's taking 6.6 per game.
What was his max against Miami?
13.
So
15.
When he got the ball, he just shot it. Is what the advanced stats are saying is when he touches it, it's flying. I get we do not have shooters, so he has to shoot. But I think the added usage and then us putting Tumani on an island against these guys, Tumani ain't that. He isn't that. We need to send help. We need to stutter. We need to do something to stop Paulo from going from the 3-point line to the hoop in under 1.5 seconds. We need to do something. Send help. Do something. You need to give Tumani some help. He's not Dion. He's not going to be a lockdown corner. You got to give some help over the middle. And I get it. We haven't played as a team, but we need to send help on those primary scorers, Anthony Edwards, Paulo. We need to send help. We need to actually try and help our defenders. And who cares if Anthony Black shoots threes? Nobody. That's how when Donovan shoots threes is a win for the defense. When Anthony Black shoots threes, it's the same thing. I really think it's the know your personnel. Look who's on the court with you. Who is the one guy that you are fine with shooting an open jump shot? With Orlando, it's Anthony Black. New Orleans, the team that we're playing today. If Derek Queen shoots 5 threes, the Pelicans are going to lose.
Yeah, I feel this is where the 5-5 comes in, and where, depending on what lens you want to look through, I feel like almost all of those losses were so winnable if they would just play smarter, less fast, save some of your energy for defense, right? And there's no reason with this roster, how it is constructed, for the Blazers to be 5th in the NBA in 3-point attempts. They shoot 42 of these things a night. They are 25th in 3-point percentage. They only convert a third of their threes that they shoot. Sage, if they would just work the clock a little bit more, quote unquote, settle for some of these mid-rangers, which Shaedon flourishes in. I wouldn't mind seeing Jeremy take a little bit more. You're going to be a better, more efficient offense. I think you're going to have more energy for defense. And I think I said this last week, I still believe it. There is optimism. The data tells me there's optimism that if they just change how they play slightly, that they could become a much more difficult team for the opposition to handle. But right now, they let the opposition off of the hook way too often by playing fast, by launching quick threes, and they turn the ball over almost as much as they're turning the ball over on opponents. Your scrappy, defensive, aggressive nature, it's getting negated because you're trying to do the same thing the other way, and you just can't, because you're going to turn the ball over just as much because you're trying to outrun a team for the only other reason to say that we're fast. There's no NBA logical basketball reason why playing this fast early in the season makes any sense. It's a marathon, and I feel like
our roster
we're trying to sprint.
With how many injuries we're gonna have, I guess Blake Wesley has to be out a certain number of games for us to get our emergency player, but that emergency player has to be a guard. I know Monte Morris just got signed by the Pacers, but that type of steez, we need somebody to just play playmaker for us for 14 minutes a game. Because
wouldn't it be nice to have our mid-level exception?
Wouldn't it be nice to get I know we use the mid-level. I know this is the team, but we do, since we are so injured, we eventually get a guy to help us. And I hope it's a guard that can at least set a table set for Shaedon, table set for Jeremy, because I think Jeremy Grant's been doing most of his work isolation, him doing it himself. He barely gets any assisted buckets. I'm really hoping we replace whoever's the point guard, Sidi Sudoku, with just a regular old point guard for a little while.
Yeah. I will say, as annoyed, and I would say I was a little, even as close as it was, I was just not into the Miami game. It was not enjoyable basketball. I really liked watching that Orlando game. I thought they learned and adapted, and that's really what I want to see from this young team and this coaching staff as well. They forced the issue a little bit more inside. I don't think they settled for nearly as many threes. They had a wonderful comeback. The play to get Jeremy Grant that and one was reminiscent of Andre Millard and Nico Batum against the Spurs. And yeah, it sucks. We blew that game. Orlando maybe blew that game because they gave up.
Orlando was trying to give us the game,
but you missed 2 free throws from Shaedon, 1 from Denny. Drew and Denny both make scary passes. Drew gets it stripped from him. The one thing, and then Tumani gets blown by. That is a game, but it was a fun game. And I'll tell you what, I was so happy to be pissed off after that game. I have not been pissed off after a Blazer loss since Terry Stotts. So when you watch a sports team and you don't care after they lose, I don't really think it matters that much to you. I got into the NFL during the NBA lockout, kind of rekindled my fanship with the Niners. And I watched the Super Bowl with you, the one where the lights went out against the Baltimore Ravens, and then they lost at the end. And I was like, whatever. And I was like, I really don't really care about this. It's just not for me.
I remember when it was the Western Conference run, and the Blazers lost, and we all had the wristband for the lights. You fucking ripped the wristband off, threw it in the garbage can with so much force that I was like, oh, Jesus, we need to get him out of. You haven't felt that way about this team since that moment you threw that wristband in the trash.
Yeah, it's been a while. So that was a nice feeling to have. It means you have a little bit of skin in the game, and it's just nice. So you actually look forward to the games. Hopefully they don't settle for.
If they lose to New Orleans, I'm gonna be very shocked.
Yeah, and now their backs are against the wall. There's no such thing as a must-win game in November, but when you have got Houston in a cup game staring down at you, and then Dallas, I know they're struggling. I know they fired Nico Harrison, so they've got probably some positive momentum from their fan base in their corner. Regardless, that stadium has just been a difficult venue for us to play in over the years. So we have
they're talented. They have talented players.
They have talented players with size. And yeah, let's get into it. You went 0 for.
I had a bad week.
I went 2-1. I am at 6-4 in the year. You are at 4-6. We have 4 games to get to. You give us the breakdown of the Pelicans. That is your other team. You spend a lot of time watching them. How do they look? They have such a huge roster turnover. They have a lot of young faces in there, but they're struggling.
They're awful.
They're awful. They're below Portland in the standings. How did the Blazers get back on the win column in this road trip?
I think you gotta, first and foremost, you have to know where Trey Murphy is on the court the entire time. Zion's out, Jordan Poole's out. It's Trey Murphy and Derek Queen's team currently. So what I would do is I would put Tumani on Trey Murphy, tell him you give him 0 space, because the second he gets space, he launches from 3. And then secondarily, I think Derek Queen is my favorite rookie, but he is their point guard when he is on the court. So you have to give him space. If he chooses to shoot, that's a win on the board. I think Donovan Clingan, when Derek drives, body up, make it difficult for him to score. There's going to be a lot of times where Derek Queen is attacking the opposing center on our team. Watch out. He is a very awesome passer, but every moment that Derek Queen is in, attack.
Yep.
Don't get where I think Derek Queen shines, and the reason he's not an absolute sieve off on the defensive end, he has really good hands. He'll strip you, but if you can just go around him, go around him the entire game, make it so that the Pelicans have to put Kevon Looney in to play defense, and then that ruins their offensive spacing and their offensive awareness. Jeremiah Fears is really fast and really exciting, but again, the only shooter that I'm scared of is Trey Murphy, and when Jordan Hawkins gets his 20 minutes, somebody's gonna have to chase him around some damn screens. This is not a hard team. If you know who's on the court at all times, you'll know how to defend that team. I think the Blazers are very easy to defend. I think the Pelicans are even easier to defend.
Yeah, it seems like Portland, if Portland gets into a game where they just want to settle and shoot threes, they're going to be in trouble unless they're hitting them at a high clip. It seems like they need to put their foot in the ground, get to the foul line, and slowly kind of
This
take.
is Denny run at the rim fullback dive game, bro.
I would love to see Drew attack. I want to see Jeremy attack. I want to see Shaedon attack. And then if you get your threes off of drive and kick, beautiful. They'll just pass it around, and then we're going to shoot a three around the horn. I don't think that's going to get it done. You said this is a team that you can attack the interior of, especially if Derek Queen is in there. So I think the Blazers they're going to win. I just have a hard time seeing them going defeated on this road trip. I think maybe if they had beaten Miami and Orlando, it's a trap game because of all of those players are out. And I know it still could be a trap game because we don't seem to play well against players who are out. Teams that are under.
Yeah, I would say the Blazers, when they are going against a hurt team, will lose more than they win. So the Pelicans,
I think they have to get the W here.
If they don't win, we're going to have a much different conversation about this season versus what we had today. The Pelicans suck. They really fucking suck. Having no Zion, having no Jordan Poole is huge for that team. This should be an easy, we're going to put Sidi Sudoku in the fourth quarter and let him play type of game. But if it's closer and if the Pelicans somehow win, don't give a team, a professional team, any faith that they can compete. Because when you do, that's when things get scary.
Up next is the Houston Rockets, a team that has championship aspirations. Brought in Kevin Durant, 6-3 on the current season. It is an NBA Cup game, so if the Blazers were to win this game, they could almost punch their ticket to the next round. Still would have to handle some business, but anytime you get a road win in a Cup game, that is what really elevates your standing. No Fred VanVleet, obviously, lack shooting, but they, unlike
at least
Portland,
they have KD.
They have size.
Yeah.
They have size for days. This is the game that I am most interested to see how Portland does, because this is probably the best team Portland has faced on the road this year. They struggled with the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard closing that game out early on in Los Angeles. Obviously, you play the Lakers without LeBron. You play Miami and Orlando. Orlando, I think, is going to be a good team, but they're not good now.
Yeah.
Houston definitely will be the toughest test on the road. Defensively, they have to show up, otherwise this could get nasty. With Şengün and KD and Amen Thompson, and then you bring in Tari Eason's ball of energy off the bench. How do you see this one going?
I think this is a real test for the Blazers. I don't think we have it because of the talent on the opposing team. Kevin Durant, Şengün's been amazing this year. I think Kevin Durant is just going to show why he's one of the best scorers ever. I think it's going to be a tall test for Toumani. If Toumani shows up against KD, I'll feel more confident about Toumani as a defender this year. But
Kevin Durant is another player that he had wild success against last year, especially during that, we talk about that spring basketball run, that those back-to-back games in Portland. Toumani played wonderful defense on KD, but he also defended Banchero well last year too. And last year was a different version of him.
Different set of circumstances.
Yep.
Different speed in which the Blazers play, so he probably had more in the gas tank. I think the Rockets win this one, but if we can dirty the game up and play better offense, I would give us a 30% chance of winning.
This is a team similar to New Orleans in the sense that you want them shooting the ball from three. You need to pack the paint and you need to make them beat you from the perimeter. right? Their last game, they started Josh Okogie, Jabari Smith, KD, Amen, and Şengün. Outside of KD, who took 2 threes.
And Jabari can shoot.
Jabari was only 3 for 9, though.
I know. We know.
They're not going to take a ton of threes. They took 26 threes against their Milwaukee Bucks. They are going to run the offense through KD. They're going to get on the break and let Amen just cause all hell. And in the half court, they can also run things through Şengün. Last year in Houston, we had that back-to-back. We split. Donovan, this was the game that Donovan got hurt in, but he had 19 boards. He was frustrating Şengün. I think if Portland pulls off the upset, you've got Tumani playing good man defense on Durant, and you've got Klingon just making Şengün work for everything, right?
So do you think they go small and not start Steven Adams and start Okogie instead? Or do you
That's
think
who they started against Milwaukee? That's just their most recent lineup.
Yeah. Well, because they could go double big and really just rebound the shit out of us. Because if Donovan has to box out Steven Adams, Şengün's going to get everything.
If they go double big, then shit, put Duop Reith in there and with Donovan. And Duop can act as your stretch 4 on offense. And he's a big enough body that hopefully he can put some length in.
I would love to see Şengün try and just be out in the perimeter.
Yeah, Houston's just a place I will never predict Portland to win. It's hard. I'm going to go Rockets get that victory, but I do expect a good performance from the Blazers. Would not surprise me in the least if they were to win. They play their best ball against the best competition. And then they end the road trip Sunday against the Dallas Mavericks, who are absolutely struggling right now. You talk about the standings and Portland only being 5-5, but you're pretty happy because you have 2 teams well below them. The Clippers at 3-7, the Dallas Mavericks at 3-8. You could even throw the Memphis Grizzlies in there at 4-8 that you thought you would be fighting for a play-in.
I am waiting for the news that Jaren Jackson Jr. is injured. I'm waiting.
I'm waiting for the John Grant trade. I'm waiting for the Domantas Sabonis trade. And I'm waiting for the Anthony Davis trade because I feel like those 3 teams are going to be pretty close to maybe making a major move. Davis is day-to-day. No pun intended. He really is day-to-day right now, as is Derek Lively. I'll just assume they both play because the game isn't until Sunday. But this is a team that has a lot of size and can give Portland a lot of problems. Portland is a team that teams don't really shoot on Portland very, very much from 3. Teams only make 11 threes per game on Portland. That's number 1 in the league. And they hold opponents to just 35% from 3. That's 9th best. So what does that tell me? That tells me that teams are scoring off of Portland turnovers and they are using their size because Portland is a bad defensive rebounding team to get extra opportunities in the paint. This on paper is a bad matchup for the Blazers.
Yeah, they're lacking guards worse than we are, though.
But they have the size that we do. We just cannot match up with their size if they're healthy. And I'm going to assume they're healthy because they're not ruled out for a long period of time.
You know who I think is very scary in this matchup, even if the bigs of Dallas are healthy? I think PJ Washington is an issue for the Portland Trailblazers because he can do everything. And he's tall and he can shoot. We know who Cooper Flagg is. Well, most people should know who Cooper Flagg is. I think PJ Washington is going to be the reason why Blazers or the Mavericks win or lose because of how he can just do everything. And we're going to have to set stuff aside to stop him. So if we can stop PJ, I think the Blazers win. But it's tough. I say the Blazers win, but my guesses have been pretty ass recently. So it might be a good idea for you to say Dallas wins, but
I do think Dallas wins.
Dictate a lot of stuff, bro.
Even if Lively and AD don't play, they still have Daniel Gafford, and that type of big is going to give us problems just because he's more bouncy.
Donovan Klingon is going to have issues staying on the court. There is no matchup where you feel good about Donovan Klingon staying on the court. Unless you put a Dwight Powell or something like that.
This team should not be as bad as their benches. Klay Thompson, D'Angelo Russell, Caleb Martin, and Dwight Powell. Dwight Powell always gives us issues. There's just an all-time just Blazer hater. Dwight Powell's on that list. He just always has big games against us. It's just more of a feeling. We don't play well in Dallas. Cooper Flag started to turn a corner, 26 and 9 and 4 assists against that last game against the Milwaukee Bucks. Their backcourt is extremely weak. Brandon Williams and Max Christie. That has to be something the Blazers exploit. They need to hunt out those players and really hope that Gafford isn't able to control the paint. This is not a team you can go small against. And
Gafford is returning from injuries. I don't think he's going to have heavy minutes.
Because about half the game last game.
Yeah. If he plays 24 minutes, if AD and Lively aren't there, we have to win the minutes where it's Dwight Powell and the rest of the Dallas bench. D'Lo played really well off the bench, started once, it sucked, and went right back to the bench. I'm waiting for him to start, and if he starts against us, it gets a little scary because I feel D'Lo's the type of dude that could be pretty bad for us with the shot and the usage that he'll get if he starts. But yeah, I'm going to say the Blazers win because Dallas is bad.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got to keep Dallas off the foul line. 41 attempts against the Milwaukee Bucks, even though they only converted 31 times. And then Portland comes home Tuesday to play the Phoenix Suns. That game is a national broadcast on Peacock starting at 8 p.m. A one for the Night Owls out there. The Phoenix Suns are 6-5. They've won 3 straight games. A team that Portland really needs to start looking at. They need to catch them. This is a team that was projected to be below them in the postseason. So how do you see this one? This is a game where Phoenix does not have a lot of size. Could Portland take advantage of that?
First and foremost, you got to know your personnel. There's 2 players on this team that you have to defend, Devin Booker and Grayson Allen. If you don't defend them, they're going to beat you relatively easily. So you got to know where Grayson Allen is. He just dropped 40 points against the Pelicans because they didn't know the personnel that was on the court. So if you do that, they got Kamal Malawatch on the bench. They have size. They just choose not to play him right now. As long as we focus on Grayson Allen and Devin Booker and Grayson Allen, the Blazers should win this game. But if you give Devin Booker chances to get comfortable, this is going to be such a long game for the team because he can win the game by himself because of how hot he can get shooting. It's about knowing your personnel and knowing how to defend each and every person. And the Blazers are going to keep it. Devin Booker's a known dude. They're going to defend their asses off to try and stop them. I think
Blazers should win this game. The Blazers will win this game. Donovan Clingan has outplayed Mark Williams in the past. This is
Mark Williams is not going to play the entire game. He is going to play 18 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. In those minutes, Mark Williams is going to be good because he's big and strong and athletic. But you can't count on Mark Williams to play a full game. He's so delicate.
There's no rim protection. You got to go to the cup. Don't settle. And I would honestly play a little slower. Royce O'Neal, Grayson Allen, Dylan Brooks, they all love playing the passing lanes. They all love taking chances.
Ryan Dunn's on that team too to play some defense. They got some scary defender. Dylan Brooks, many people don't like his on-court shenanigans, but Dylan Brooks is a legitimately good NBA player. He's going to play really tough defense. He's going to get the young guys irritated with him. He's an aggressor. He's going to play really tough and piss off at least one of our teammates or one of the Blazers.
Yep. Yeah. I think the Blazers have to win this one. They have to split the week. Keep staying above water. And if you go 3-1, even better. But it all starts tonight in New Orleans. Get some momentum back and try to close things out on this road trip.
You can't make this a losing streak.
No. You got to stop the bleeding where it's at.
This is a pretty perfect team to get your lickbacks and potentially win.
That'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for listening. Sage, let our listeners know where they can find us at.
Well, we are available on Spotify. iTunes is being really weird with stuff. For right now, check us out on Spotify. Check us out on YouTube. I'll post this one. I didn't post the last 2 episodes on YouTube because we were using the online version of Zoom. Now this is on my computer. It's much more stable. So this will be on YouTube. We'll make clips out of it. So hopefully you'll get as much Holy Backboard as you want, and until I figure out how to get us back on Apple. So thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. We will be back in a week. Peace. All right, man. Later.
Later, dude.